the first thing that caught me off guard, because I hadn't looked into this card in particular too much, was the first note I made was your records that you have at flyweight, right? And I was like, okay, that's seriously impressive. And then I click on the fight and it says strawweight, and I was like, have I missed something here? So I had to go back because I was like, I couldn't remember it. I was like, but all the records are at flyweight, but this one's at strawweight. And then obviously I went and kind of explored it and looked into it a bit more. But from listening to you in other interviews, you made it sound like, why not try it now? Is that the approach?
Oh yeah, 100%. Right now, I actually woke up this morning at 124. So
Okay.
I'm a flyweight right now, and I'm a week out from my fight. So really, that's the whole why not, is that it's just been so easy for me to make flyweight, to get my weight down there. I'm like, I had a hard sparring session today. Well, I did 3 hours of drilling, a hard sparring session, 30 minutes of cardio, and 30 minutes in the sauna. So it's like hard work, and I'm 124 right now. So it's just it's just I want to take the opportunity, try it, and see how it works. And if I feel good at straw weight, then we're gonna stick there.
Now, I have never gone through a weight cut in my life. I'm sure at some point I will force myself to do it just so I know what fighters go through. But that is quite a bold move to just be like, what? I more naturally closer to the other weight class, but let's do it. Like
I
it's
feel like it is, but it isn't. I definitely took a lot of steps into thinking about it before I went into it. One, I'm just obviously very undersized at 125. I'm
right.
like, if you look at my last matchup with Maria Agpova, I remember, like, I trained with her at ATT before we fought, and I remember her coming into camps at like 155, and I was coming into camp at 132. So I just feel like I was obviously very undersized. And then I went to the UFC PI last March, I believe it was, and they did a bunch of body scans on me, like bone density scans, just a lot of like crazy medical science and stuff to figure out if it is healthy for me to make 115. So they determined that I actually am very undersized for the 125, and I fit ideally in the 115 division. So I guess just with their support, they've been helping me this whole camp. I've been working with their nutritionist all through camp, and I just feel very comfortable making the cut.
Am I right in thinking this is going off of Wikipedia, so I don't know how true it is, but that you last fought at strawweight in 2016?
Yeah, it was probably around then. I'm like, it was last my last fight outside of the
Hmm.
UFC was a strawweight. So against Hannah Cyphers was last time. Then the second I got signed to the UFC, I got signed with the 125 division, and I for a while there I just kind of fit into it. I was a little bit heavier. I was lifting a little bit more, and now I'm just focusing so much on technique. I just don't have as much muscle mass on me, so it's just more ideal for me to be a 15er.
Do you feel like, I know that you said that you were undersized at the weight class, which, like, I mean, yeah, when you watch the Agapova fight back, it is like, yeah, there's a clear difference here. Do you feel like it played a big part in any of your fights?
Not necessarily. I don't believe anybody beats me because they're stronger than me. I feel like people beat you because they're better than you, or they perform better in that moment. It was their night. They capitalized in the moment, or they were just they showed up that night and you didn't. But I don't believe that any of my losses are due to them being stronger or bigger.
Hmm. The second part of what I started this with saying, where I was looking at the finishes that you have at flyweight, the records, and then realizing that this one is at strawweight, I was like, it really doesn't feel that long ago to me that the Liverpool card happened in England. Like, that was the first UFC event that I attended, and I didn't. I think looking at your record and seeing how many submissions you've racked up made me realize how long ago that actually is. Like, which I hadn't thought about in a long time. Does it feel a long time ago for you?
Yes and no. I feel like time goes by so fast in fight camp. So it's just like fight camp after fight camp after fight camp, and it goes by so fast. But then when you look at it, I'm like, to think that I've been in the UFC, I think a little over 5 years now. That's a little bit mind blowing to me. Like that, I don't know that I've been able to do this job for 5 years now. That's still insane to me.
Yeah. like I suppose it's even more heightened by the fact that your opponent is coming in for a UFC debut, right? So it's like that's going to be the kind of narrative for this one, I suppose. Like your experience.
I feel like that's kind of how it's been. Everybody's telling me they're like, "Oh, she's a young up and comer." I'm like, she's older than me. Everybody's acting like she's the like I'm the vet and I'm the old person. I'm like, she's I think 2 or 3 years older than me. It's just I have a lot more experience at this point. So I'm definitely the vet going into this matchup.
You said about the experience. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I remember watching the event after the day after because of the time difference in the UK. But the grappling contest that you had with Rose is, I feel like, going to be brought up a lot since that point, right? I mean, I know that it's completely different, but holding a submission win in that kind of time over a former UFC champion is like, sure, you can't look too far into it because it's very different to MMA, but your credibility as a grappler is like immediately anyone who hasn't seen you fight before, they see that and they go, okay, if this hits the floor, then this could be over regardless of who it is.
And I've known that since my day one entering the UFC. I know that when it hits the floor, it is a different world. So going into a grappling match with someone like Rose, I knew that it's just I had to show her that. I had to go in there and show her that there's levels to this shit. And in jiu-jitsu, that's my world. But like there's nothing to take away from her and like all of her accomplishments, obviously. If anything, what I gained from that match is at the very beginning, you see her come out and she does some feints, like just feinting takedowns, feinting. And all I could think, I'm like, she's fast as fuck. I'm like, she is just crazy fast, and you could really see it there when we're on the feet. And I'm like, it just kind of opens up your mind to that championship level.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's everything. So thank you so much for your time. All the best for April 15th, and say hello to the dog for me.
Of course. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
No worries. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.